All fucking righty, ladies and gentlemen. So like I explained, I want to move on from the wrestling videos. All I'm fucking getting is CM Punk. Talk about CM Punk. I made my last vid trying to talk about, current events. I want to give my opinion on different shit. Stuff that's more important in life than fucking wrestling. All I'm getting is hate because my video isn't about CM Punk. The podcast, Cold Cabana podcast. So I was curious. I listened to the damn thing like 2 hours long. It was a pretty damn good podcast though. So fuck it, I'll talk about the Punk thing, I guess. It's in line with me, wanting to, get out of the wrestling scene because WWE is straight up fucked up. The fans are fucked up. You're gonna have lots of fans giving shit to CM Punk, taking the side of the company because, like I said many times, a lot of these fans are fucking retards, okay? These fans are giving shit to Punk, and like he explained, they don't even know how to spell the word quitter, for God's sakes. A cesspool of retarded douchebags. Not everybody there, but, that's mainly why I want to get out of the wrestling scene. And wrestling sucks a lot of times. They made it good recently just to promote the free Survivor Series, I guess. They show Sting in there to get people to purchase 6 months of the network. Then they go back to being completely retarded. So I don't even want to watch Raw on Monday. Not gonna watch it. Don't expect Raw reviews from me. Hate my vids, give me crap all you want. That's not gonna push me into reviewing Raw, you understand? It's just gonna make me push the block button or the ban button, whatever the fuck it's called now. But the CM Punk shit is interesting, so I'll give it a little go there. So I was writing shit down during the podcast. Lots of fucking shit here. 2 full pages of little points from Punk or whatever. Fucking tired, people. Tim Hortons, motherfucker. Some Christmas cups here. Okay. CM Punk couldn't have sponsors, but Brock Lesnar was allowed to. Completely unfair. If people wanted to sponsor Punk when he was red hot in 2011, WWE should have went with it. But they don't because they're power hungry, psychotic motherfuckers. They always hold down their talent, especially since The Rock left. If wrestlers have any opportunities, they try to squash it to make themselves be the king. You want to be in the movie, it's got to be okayed by us. Even though you're a independent contractor, we rule your life. We rule what kind of toilet paper you use to wipe your ass. WWE fucking sucks, and they're power hungry psycho dictators, pretty much. Even trying to dictate what the fans are saying. Okay, but them stopping Punk from being sponsored, getting sponsored, and then letting Lesnar do the same thing, completely unfair. Completely unfair and cheap on their part. Punk wasn't allowed to show up to UFC in the Octagon, and like Punk said, it would have been good promotion for WWE. But then they let Triple H do the same thing with Floyd Mayweather. Pretty sad. If Punk couldn't do it, why is Triple H doing it? It's double standards. I guess because Lesnar and Triple H are bigger, they take more steroids or whatever. McMahon thinks that they're, you know, more good looking, so they get to do what they want. WWE didn't let him do movies and TV shows again. Power-hungry psychos. That's why Chris Jericho wouldn't sign full-time with them. He was going to do a comeback full-time with time off to do his side projects, and they wouldn't let him sign with us, and you can't do fuck all else. That's Jericho said fuck you to them like last year or the year before, whatever. Cena could do things and Punk wasn't allowed to. No, that's an obvious one. There's no reason not to believe that. He said that they only advertise John Cena's charity, and that seems to be the case. You hear of other wrestlers doing charity. Randy Orton does a lot of charity and stuff. And WWE only acts like if Cena does charity. Which is a bit sad, I guess. If other guys do good shit, you know, why hold them down and only promote Cena's charity? It's just to make Cena look good, obviously, there. He says the wrestlers get mistreated and nobody fights back because you'll get punished. And we all know it's like that in wrestling. If wrestlers get hurt and they don't want to wrestle or something, they get fired. They fire women because they get pregnant. How sick is this? If a woman works for WWE for 10 years, she can't have a baby during that time or something, you know. WWE's fucking nuts, and it's true that they mistreat the wrestlers. The wrestlers have money or whatever, but if you die at 40 years old because of painkillers to wrestle injured, well, you're not going to have a chance to enjoy your money. And if Punk would have kept going the way he was going, he would have died young as well, probably. He got a concussion. Then they said that he was fine. He took a test. They said he was fine, but they still made him run the ropes and shit like this. Punk was upset about this. He said, just admit that I have a concussion. And he was pretty much saying that their test is bullshit, because if the test says he's okay and clearly he wasn't, well, the test is full of shit. You know, it is what it is there. He needed some knee surgery. He had elbow problems. And he still had to wrestle. So imagine not only having a knee injury, but needing surgery. You understand? And you're forced to keep wrestling. That shows you that WWE has not changed. They're still barbaric motherfucking nut jobs. Like people back in the day, they would put people to fight against lions for the enjoyment of nutcases in the old days. WWE's like that still. They don't care if you're injured. They're going to throw you out there for their own satisfaction. And in their case, it's to make money there. But yeah, if he needed surgery, he should have been given time off. Okay, WWE, oh, this is a safe environment. We got the best doctors, blah, blah, blah. If he needed surgery 2-3 places there, and you make him keep wrestling, obviously, it's not a great promotion. It's not good business. It's not best for business to make wrestlers wrestle when they're fucking injured. Nowadays, for the media, oh, we're against, wrestling when you got a concussion. And CM Punk, one of their top guys, had to wrestle with concussions and a bunch of injuries. Bullshit, WWE. You do not care about the fucking health of your wrestlers. You only care about the money. How many wrestlers died because they took a bunch of painkillers? Because McMahon was going to fire them if they didn't wrestle injured. Tons, motherfuckers, having to die just to please Psycho McMahon so that they wouldn't get fired. And sadly, they're still doing it today. They might have drug tests for the wrestlers. They have a doctor at ringside for show there, but they're still barbaric sons of bitches in their own retarded bubble of bullshit. CM Punk got eye surgery. He needed some time off to get over the eye surgery, and they still wanted him to wrestle. It's fucking crazy. And wrestlers were grabbing his eyes and shit. Ryback, I think, Ryan Reeves, I think that's Ryback. And they started to punch Ryback for real in the match, him and Luke Gallows. Because Ryback was grabbing him by the eyeballs just after his surgery. This is crazy. Wrestling fans might have the WWE mentality. Oh, you gotta be tough. You gotta wrestle when you're injured. It's easy for you to say that from your couch. You understand? But if you're injured, you gotta wrestle lunatics like Ryback who try to hurt you on purpose. Y'all wouldn't fucking like it. Okay? The doctor said that he was cleared, medically cleared, and he hadn't even seen the doctors yet. So obviously this doctor is a fake. This doctor is employed by WWE. The doctor does what McMahon wants. He doesn't follow the rules of medicine or whatever. He does what McMahon wants, and then McMahon can use this doctor. Hey, look, we're a great company, we have a doctor, but the doctor does what McMahon wants. They cleared him and he didn't even see the damn doctor. And CM Punk says, what kind of witch doctor-y is this? And that's what it is. It's sick. He said Vince only cares about Cena. That's obvious. And he says that the Shield was his idea, but they stole the idea from him. Now, I'm not sure if the Shield would have been good. With Punk, we saw the Shield the way it was. Most of us enjoyed the Shield, but if it was Punk's idea for real, then they pretty much stole his idea, which isn't right. And he talked about Roman Reigns, that he wasn't ready and shit, and they wanted to push him because he's pretty, which is the kind of shit I talked about. I was massively hated by fans for saying that Ryback was just a pretty boy, or that Roman Reigns was just a pretty boy with no talent. And even CM Punk agrees with that. Nowadays, most fans understand this there, but, that's what it is. A big fucking roid guy, he looks good. He's gonna get the push. Forget about Rollins and Ambrose. Right now, people are excited. Rollins, Ambrose, we got a future here, boy. But once Roman Reigns comes back there, he's the future. He's the next John Cena. Okay, that's their next big star. A guy that can't wrestle. A guy who has to take acting classes now because his promos suck so damn much. I used to say that in videos. Make him take fucking classes to learn how to talk and shit. People were giving me crap for that. And that's exactly what he's doing now, taking acting classes. Y'all were trying to say his promos were awesome. Are you guys fucking drunk? Are you people on drugs? You understand? If his promos were so awesome, you wouldn't have to take acting classes. It's because the motherfucker sucks. Once he comes back, he's gonna destroy Seth Rollins and everybody else who has a chance. Everybody who we think is the future there, they're gonna get destroyed by Roman Reigns and John Cena and shit. There's no point to even watching this fed anymore. And after hearing this kind of crap there, I'm happy that I'm separating myself from this shit. Why would I fucking dedicate my entire internet existence to talking about one fed? One fed that treats the fans and the wrestlers like shit. Why should I fucking dedicate my life to them? It's crazy. He said that Ryback took 20 years off his life. He called him a steroid guy, which he is, obviously. When wrestlers talk like this there, that's because of roids. The steroids kill the voice box. Look at most of these big fuckers. When you see big fuckers on YouTube, yeah, that's the steroid that kills their voice. Ryback guaranteed to be a giant roid head. Okay? He said that Ryback injured him several times and he broke his ribs. You know, and I believe that. Probably because Punk and Gallows were kicking their ass that one time with the eye injury. Probably Ryback wanted to get revenge by hitting Punk for real. And that's not fair because Punk was being a professional. He wasn't beating him up or whatever, and Ryback was taking cheap shots at him. And Ryback is just a big goof there. There's lots of people who pretend to like Ryback to troll here on YouTube, but Ryback is a big fucking bum. Sucks in the ring. He always has. Couldn't even lift up Paul Heyman. The guy sucks. Okay, get over it. He got surgery for his ribs, and then he had to wrestle Ryback. You know, just a couple weeks later, with no time to rest. He had to wrestle the guy that injured him in the first place. Pretty sick there. Vince wouldn't let him take a break after he lost to The Rock. Again, Punk was very injured and shit. Had all kinds of problems. They wouldn't let him take a break. Why not? You know, because it's a regime. A fucking regime. You gotta fucking wrestle injured or else Triple H is gonna say that you're not tough. That's what the wrestling world is. It's fucking barbaric and crazy. He got another concussion. The doctor says, do you have a concussion or do you want to go on tour? You understand? This doctor is a piece of shit. Like I said, he only works for McMahon. This guy should be fucking stripped of his medical fucking degree or whatever. A lunatic, this doctor. Punk was all fucked up, puking every night and shit, and to the point where he shit his pants on SmackDown. That's how sick he was. Yeah, he fucking crapped in his own fucking shorts on SmackDown. He was sick big time, all messed up. They kept giving him antibiotics or whatever. He ended up shitting in his pants. Obviously, the guy wasn't well. And Vince McMahon was making jokes about this, that he could be, you know, the next Bastion Booger. Old fucking cocksucker. One of your best wrestlers. A guy who could have been way bigger than he was. That fucking Triple H and McMahon purposely held him down there. You could have had your next Austin, a guy who wasn't a roid freak, but maybe Punk wasn't sexually satisfying enough for McMahon. I don't know, because he wasn't big. So they purposely fucked him over in 2011. But your guy, a big star, shits in his pants because he's too fucking fucked up wrestling for your dumbass. And McMahon is making jokes about it. Sickening. Completely sickening to hear this crap. He had fat deposit on his back. It was a big staph infection. The WWE doctor kept saying it was nothing. Oh, that's nothing. Take more antibiotics. That's nothing. It turned out it was a huge staph infection. And the doctor that he went to see afterwards said that it could have ended his life. You know, the WWE doctor didn't do shit about it, and he refused to help him. Very sad. WWE is very fucking sad. Don't say that you care about your wrestlers, because you clearly don't, and history proves that you don't, okay? Then he talks about the main event at WrestleMania. It was supposed to be Batista against Orton. It was. I remember when this happened, when they didn't put Bryan in the main event, I said I quit. I had stopped watching for a couple weeks, and then they added Bryan in the main event, and then I came back. But apparently Bryan wasn't supposed to be in the main event, so, you know, I should have stopped right there of watching it. Eventually they added Bryan back in. That's because fans were fucking going mental. I remember freaking out, ranting big time about this. I quit watching it for close to a month or something. Then they added Bryan in. Then I was like, oh, maybe it was a plan all along. But it wasn't a plan. The plan was supposed to be Batista and Orton. How sad is this? The whole year they fucked over Bryan fans, making us pissed off big time. And he wasn't even supposed to be in the main event of Mania. The fuck is wrong with this company? Treating the fans like shit big time. And Bryan wasn't even supposed to be in it. Pretty fucked up when you think about it. Then he talked about Triple H ruining his push and his momentum in 2011. And I remember I was ranting big time about these Raws. Why is Triple H trying to make him look bad? Punk has momentum. He can become a giant fucking mega star, you know. And Triple H was there making him look bad. Triple H beat him for no fucking reason. Then he left again. Pathetic. Like Colt Cabana said, he was just there to ruin the fucking rise of Punk. That's all it was. And it's pretty fucking sad that Triple H did that. Pretty sad that McMahon would sabotage Punk in 2011 when Punk could have become a huge fucking star. Why did they do that? Just so that Cena could look like the top guy? Fucking Cena must give a good blowjob, eh? He must take a lot of dicks up the ass at the same time for them to sabotage Punk like that. Just to protect who? Cena? Just to blow up Triple H's ego? What was the point? Why did Triple H come out to beat him? That was some of the dumbest shit that I ever saw in wrestling. You wouldn't see that. Steve Austin getting beat by Shane McMahon or something. Very fucking cheap. Very cheap. He said he didn't want to wrestle Triple H at Mania, and I think he did the right move there, saying fuck you to Triple H, letting him know how he fucked up his momentum, because he's a fucking dirty, egotistical, fucking greedy prick. So Punk wanted some time off, basically. He was all fucked up. He had his concussion. He had fucking all kind of problems, his ribs and shit. And the company asked him to take a drug test. Punk was like, fuck you, basically. And he told them that he had to go home. He didn't say I'm done forever, basically. He wanted some time off. He kept asking for time off. They said no. He had all kind of problems, that huge ass staph infection, which was apparently life-threatening. So he left. They wouldn't let him take time off. They wanted him to take drug tests to go on the huge tour in Europe when he was all fucked up. So he left. How the fuck can you blame him? If they would have gave him time off, he wouldn't have left. And then Triple H or Vince called him up. Are you coming back to work? Punk said not right now. He's all fucked up or whatever. He was still fucked up. He needed time off. So they suspended him. So basically it wasn't like if he really quit. He just walked out to take a fucking break. And then they suspended him. He could have been back before Mania. He might have been back, but they suspended him, so he couldn't come back. And then they wouldn't pay him his royalty checks, because that's what the company are, a fucking bunch of crooks. They only care about the money. They wanted to steal his money, basically. So he was calling them to get his money. They wouldn't pay him. Eventually they had to there when he sued their ass. But Triple H called him up. He wanted to talk. Punk said he was willing to talk. But the day after, you know, when he'd come back from his wedding, Punk was getting married to AJ. So probably Punk would have come back after his wedding. He told Triple H, I'm always there. You guys could have always called me. I'm willing to talk. He pretty much would have been back. He'd be there right now probably. Okay, but instead of waiting for after his wedding to talk, they fired him the day of his wedding. They sent him something, their FedEx or whatever, and fired him the day of his wedding. How fucking sick is that? Very fucking sick. It shows you that WWE are fucking lowlives. Straight up fucking lowlives. Punk coulda came back. You know, y'all fired him like idiots the day of his fucking wedding. Who the fuck do they think they are? McMahon thinks he's like God there, and that he can fuck with people or whatever. This is sad. A very sad company. We should all fucking boycott this shit. The way that they treated Punk, they don't deserve fans. The way that they've been treating fans for years, they don't deserve any fans. And eventually Punk sued them. They sent him some bullshit. You can't appear at UFC. You can't do this. You're in trouble for breach of contract. Punk got a lawyer and sued their ass. There you go. They think they're so powerful with their lawyers. They're screwing with people's lives and then suing them. Their pathetic asses got fucking sued. They can't, Punk's not allowed to talk about the settlement, but he said he got everything he wanted and then some, so probably got a bunch of money off their greedy asses. He sued 2K Sports, and he said to 2K Sports, do I have your attention now? Something like that. And then he talked about how the wrestlers should have a union and shit like this for protection. That way they don't have to wrestle when they're injured and stuff. Wrestlers have been trying to do that for 20, 30 years in wrestling. They don't allow it because they operate with illegal tactics. They don't believe in fairness for the wrestlers. They push roided up douchebags that they probably have sex with there, and they fuck with the lives of wrestlers they don't like. That's what it is, and it's a sickening business. It's sickening the way that they treat fans and the way that they treat their wrestlers. They're still acting like they did 30 years ago. Go out and wrestle with a concussion. Even if you shit your pants, that's okay. We'll make jokes about it. Because if you leave, we're going to suspend you and fire you the day of your wedding. WWE should be a fucking shame to themselves. The company sucks. They're retarded, psychotic fucking tyrants. And I'm sick of their bullshit. I'm sick of praising a dumb garbage fed like this. Sick of giving money to a shitty, greedy fed like this. Fuck them. WWE fucking sucks. CM Punk could have been a huge motherfucking star. They purposely ruined him. What for? Makes no sense. Makes no goddamn sense to have Triple H come back and beat CM Punk in 2011. Made no sense for them not to want to have Bryan in the main event. They fuck with the fans all year with this Randy Orton, Bryan bullshit, saying fuck you to the fans, it's what we want that matters, blah blah blah. And they weren't even gonna put Bryan in the main event. What a fucking joke. WWE fucking sucks. They deserve to go out of business the way that they treat fucking wrestlers and their fans. Bunch of bullshitting con artist cocksuckers. Fuck WWE. Fuck them. Okay? So yeah, you got a vid about the CM Punk situation. I might give y'all little vids here and there. Probably how I'm gonna quit watching in the future. Shit like this. But don't expect Raw reviews or SmackDowns or shit like this, because I don't want to fucking live for a garbage fed like that. Fuck those greedy, dirty bastards. That's what they are. Dirty, low-life sons of bitches. Until next time, peace.